Celia and Bjorn are traveling to find the wolf's son in the county. After they reach, two cops ask them to leave the area before they arrest them. Celia finds blood drops on a plant and indicates Bjorn, who throws powder on the cops and asks them to go. Celia hears a child crying and uses her powers to break the door. They see a dead woman and then find two children, Nathan and his sister Jessica. They take the child to their grandmother's house, where Bjorn tells them the boy can stay here but only as a council ward in their law. The grandmother asks what law. Bjorn tells her the law of the Council of Born Witches. If he becomes a threat to humans like his father after he grows up, we will take him away from here. The children grow up and their grandmother tells them that there are already supernatural beings in the world. Some witches are good like us and some are bad. She explains to the children to hide their identity from humans because humans fear them and then try to kill them. Celia cuts Nathan's arm to know how much time his wound takes to heal and asks him a couple of questions. Nathan's wound heals in 30 seconds and Celia thinks he is a fair-born witch. Jessica tells Nathan, your dad was a dangerous who liked to kill everyone and ate people's hearts, and after his birth, their mother also died. Nathan becomes young and Celia continues visiting him every month to keep an eye on him. Nathan is now a high school student, and in the class, their teacher introduces a new student named Annalise. She tells the class that due to her father's work, her brother and she changed schools from London. At night, Nathan goes to a Halloween party where he tells his friends that he belongs to the witch family, but his friends take him as a joke. Annalise listens and asks him to hide his identity and tells Nathan, because of you we move here. Annalise's father is the counselor head of the Fair-Born Witch Department, and they move here to keep an eye on Nathan. When Nathan goes to find Annalise, her brother and cousin beat and insult Nathan, but Nathan ignores them and leaves. The next day, Annalise meets Nathan and apologizes for her brother's behavior. Annalise says her brother is a dickhead but she likes Nathan and becomes his friend. Celia visits Nathan to take the test and asks him the same questions like, does he fear someone? Does he like to kill somebody? But Nathan gives her the same reply and she leaves. While in the school, Annalise asks him to hang out, but Nathan refuses because his sister turning 17 and she leaves. Niall stops Nathan and asks him to stay away from his sister, but Nathan tells him that if you can't stop your sister, it's not my fault. Their grandmother gives Jessica some family gifts when she turns 17 because she is now a witch, and the grandmother feeds her blood to Jessica. Nathan finds out that Jessica has been accepted to join the Fairborn Cadet Training Program. Jessica tells them she wants to become a hunter to protect the Fairborn community from the Blood Witch Scourge. After that, when Nathan is in his room, his mother comes there and tells him that you are the reason for my death, and then their grandmother comes and it turns out to be Jessica. Jessica gets the power to take the shape of others, but her grandmother is very angry with Jessica's behavior and scolds her. Nathan goes outside where Niall again stops him and talks about his mother. Listening to this, Nathan gets angry and beats Niall and then throws the bicycle on his face. Celia comes and takes him to the Fairborn Council, where he meets with Roydger Silwood, head of the council, and Annalise's father, Sol O'Brien. Sol asks him, you attacked my son, and Nathan explains, your son irritates me always, so I have no choice. Nathan tries to leave, but then two invisible witches, Rita and Frank, come inside. Soon the invisible wolf kills them both and Nathan watches everything horrifically. Sol tells him, your father killed 9 members of the community and the last one is Miss Roydger. They tell him they are afraid that after turning 17 you will become a bloody beast like your father, so they ask Nathan to control his powers. Nathan then meets Annalise and they both kiss, but suddenly Nathan hears Annalise's heartbeat. Celia comes to take his test and now Nathan's wound heals faster than before, and Nathan hears Celia's heartbeat but doesn't tell her. After that, Annalise tells him to go outside, and when he follows her, Niall knocks him out and Annalise transforms into Jessica. Jessica traps him by shapeshifting and takes him to a warehouse and ties him up. Niall uses a knife on Nathan's face, but Jessica wants more from him. Niall accidentally stabs him and runs away. Nathan asks Jessica for help, but she also leaves him in pain. Grandmother arrives and asks him, who did this to you? Nathan is in great pain. She quickly uses her magic, which heals Nathan's wound, and grandmother becomes unconscious. Nathan wakes up enraged and goes to the school and starts to beat Niall until Annalisa comes and stops him. He goes home panicked, and his grandmother tells him that there is only one witch who can help you now. Her name is Mercury. She gives him a spell to recite, and as Nathan begins to recite the spell, the witch enters his grandmother's body. Nathan is shocked to see her and asks her for help. Mercury maps a place on her hand and kisses Nathan, telling him that we will meet soon. Now the council people arrive outside with a pack of hunters and ask him to come out. We see an abandoned house where a wolf is killing people and a girl watching the wolf chewing people's hearts. Nathan opens the door to see Brian and Roydger. Roydger tells him, you're a blood witch and by the law, you are not permitted to live here anymore. Grandmother asks her, you are gonna kill him now? Roydger tells her that she will train Nathan and then he will kill his father to end this prophecy. They take him, and when Nathan asks about Annalisa, her father tells him to stay away from his daughter. On the way, Hunter stops their cars and beats Nathan while Jessica is watching her brother. They leave Nathan at Celia's place where she is going to train him. They start training and Celia tells him, "I don't expect that you have a chance to stand against your father, but this training will keep you alive." Jessica comes to Brian's office to tell him that students are mocking her due to her mother's past. Brian says everyone has a bad past, but she says not like me. Brian tells her that when Blood and Witches decided on the truce, but Marcus had other thoughts. "After we invited him into the house he killed everyone, and this was my biggest regret of the past." Bjorn is giving training to the kids and tells them that Blood's wounds heal quickly, so they use magic bullets to make them suffer. On the other hand, Nathan continues his training with Celia and she asks him to run 5 miles. Nathan completes the task but a bit slowly and she sends him again, and the second time he visions himself beating Niall and Annalisa stops him. During the night, Nathan is sitting inside the cage and remembers Annalisa telling him, "You are not like your father. She tells you that provoked when you were beating my brother it means you are a good being." Annalisa goes to see Nathan, but his grandmother angrily tells her Nathan is gone and asks her to leave, but she is unaware of all of this. During the training session, Jessica is missing her aims and the coach asks her to leave. When everybody is bathing, Hazel makes fun of Jessica. Enraged, Jessica changes into Hazel and shows everyone her naked body, and then she changes into her boyfriend, and when Hazel asks her to leave she becomes her father. Hazel tells her that if your mother was alive, she would have taught you manners, and leaves. Kieran visits Jessica in her room and asks her to work together as a team, and what she did with Hazel is not good. Jessica tells him, "My father died when I was little and people call her a monster due to her stepfather." Bjorn gets the news that a blood attack on the human and they quickly move to find him. As they reach inside the house they see a dead man and a woman tied to ropes, and her mouth is stitched with the spell. Kieran opens the store and sees dismembered bodies falling, and Bjorn calls the counselor's office for help. Kieran smells the blood on the ground and tells his group that the Bloods have escaped all the way. Annalise also turns 17 and Brian gives her various gifts and completes the family ritual by giving her his blood. Annalise is coming back home with her friend David and he tries to seduce her. Annalisa asks him to stop, but when he touches her skin she shouts at him, and due to her powers their car crashes with a bus. Bjorn finds the Blood's location and the T divides into 3 groups to hunt them. Jessica finds Blood that is sucking Hazel's power, but she didn't save her until she dies. Then shoots the Blood, and when Kieran arrives she tells him, "I got here too late." Annalise regains consciousness but her mouth is scarred and Brian is overjoyed to see her daughter alive. Bjorn calls him and tells him that they have killed the Bloods, but Hazel has been killed along with them. Brian goes to inform Rutger, but as he reaches inside her house Brian finds her dead. Aoife also arrives there and is shocked to see. Brian tells her Marcus did this and Rutger was the last of 10. Brian notices her 7 fingers are broken, which means Marcus will hunt them now. Listening to this, Aoife says we need to leave this town because they have no such powers to stand against Marcus. Brian shows her the words of the prophecy. His own blood will kill the wolf, and tells her if Marcus knows this then first he'll kill Nathan. Brian sends a team of hunters to protect Nathan, and when a boy asks Nathan about the training Nathan challenges him. Nathan is beaten by the boy and Celia gets angry with him, but Nathan trolls her saying, "You have to train me well." Nathan asks Celia, "Do I look like my father and did you ever see him?" Celia tells him, "During the truce meeting your father killed everyone and I was a child and hid." The next day, Celia starts punching Nathan, but this time he fights with her and makes her stop. Brian visits his brother Rowan, and after a short Brian shoots Rowan, then fills his blood in a bottle, and with blood in his hand he makes an X mark on the glass so that people can see that this blood is also done by Marcus. Brian goes to Nathan's house and kills her grandmother. While Kieran is sleeping with Jessica, Brian informs that his father is no longer with them. Celia informs Nathan that his grandmother suicided yesterday and asks him to stay hard. Nathan now becomes a full assassin, though his training is not complete yet. Brian arrives and tells him that your father killed Rutger, his brother, and your grandmother also died due to Marcus. Nathan doesn't want to go with them and starts a fight with them, but one witch uses his power to stop him and take him. On the way, Marcus attacks them as an eagle and then creates a thunderstorm to kill them. Brian, Jessica, and Nathan escape from there and they take Nathan to the hidden place. Brian ties Nathan and casts a spell on him, then he uses the blood of Nathan's grandmother and Rowan to make symbols on Nathan's body. Nathan asks him why he is doing this to Brian, tells him only your blood can kill Marcus, and leaves. Nathan then quickly unties himself and runs towards the corridor where a security guard sees him and asks him to stop. Suddenly, the guard's body explodes and all of his organs flutter in the air and fall to the ground. All Annalise does to save Nathan. Jessica sees them running away and chases after them, but somehow they both disappear from her sight. While Nathan and Annalise are sitting in a cafe, Annalise asks him why you disappear. Nathan tells her council committee sent him for training to fight against his father. Annalise sees marks on his hand and Nathan tells her your dad made this and tells him it's black magic. After 10 days Nathan will turn 17 and he needs his family's blood or he'll die. Nathan calls Mercury for help and the map on his fist shines. They follow the map which tells them to go to room No. 186. After they reach the hotel there is no more rooms after 185. Nathan then notices 186 written on a wall and he knocks it, then the wall breaks, and they the room's door. Inside they meet with a man named Gabriel who works for Mercury. Brian finds them with his hunters and when hunters come inside the room Nathan quickly beats them all. Gabriel then gives both of them a tablet to jump through the window, but Brian asks Gabriel for her daughter before they can jump. Gabriel asks her to return his tablet but she eats it, and both boys jump out of the window. Brian asks Annalise to stop but she also jumps out. In the past, Gabriel goes to his room where a girl tells him Mercury wants to meet him. The girl casts a spell and Mercury comes inside her body. She tells Gabriel to do a job in England when Gabriel asks her what kind of job. Then we see Nathan and Gabriel falling from the sky including Annalise. Which means Mercury sent him to England to take Nathan. Brian tells Celia that I put Nathan in the counselor's office where he escaped and took my daughter with him. On the other hand, the group travels across the ocean to another place where Gabriel gives a man a necklace. Nathan asks why he gave him the necklace, and Gabriel says that when they go to another witch's territory, they give them a gift. After crossing the magical portal they reach Paris and Gabriel takes them to his house. Gabriel's house is burgled and he meets a man to find out who tells him that a month ago Ruby sold me a box and now she has disappeared. Gabriel asks him in French for his box and in return asks him to kidnap Annalise, to which the man agrees. The man arrives with his box, but when Gabriel sees it, it doesn't contain the magic book and their deal is off. Gabriel tells them both to run away and gets himself into the hands of the police. Hunters find Nathan and Annalise in a club but they hide in a room. Gabriel finds himself guilty and returns to help them. He punches one man and then uses a magical powder to make them distract. The magical door opens but Nathan hears Gabriel shout and save him. Then a man shoots at them and they have to leave the magic wall and run away. Now that Nathan's birthday is only 5 days away and tells Gabriel that he needs to get to Mercury soon, the scar on Nathan's hand begins to expand inside him. On the way, they abandon their car and after seeing the map Gabriel tells them that they are in the Dupont Witch's territory which means they have to cross the jungle by foot. They walk and see fresh crops and suddenly they are stopped by Ozans, and a girl tells them their people have been killed by the Dupont tribe. Gabriel tells them we've nothing to do with it, we are blood, and the girl takes them to their master. The chief of the tribe tells them that they are passing through our territory without permission and I told Mercury that if her people pass through our territory, they will have to pay the price. Upon hearing this, Nathan tells the woman that he is Marcus Edge's son, and upon hearing this an old witch comes in and recognizes Nathan. They would be allowed to go ahead after completing the rituals of tomorrow. Brian also reaches there to his hunters to find them, while the Ozan's tribe catches a Fairborn witch to put him in prison. They then all team up to kill the Fairborn witch, and her cage turns into a flowering tree. After killing her, the chief of the tribe eats the witch's heart. Nathan's condition worsens due to Brian's spell. Celia arrives but Blood doesn't listen to her and neither does Annalise. Jessica disguises herself as a girl and kills one of them, and a battle ensues between the witches and the Bloods. Jessica cuts off Nathan's finger and many Bloods are killed in the fight. Annalise, Nathan, Gabrielle, and Odette use an underground way and reach the boat. Celia also joins them but Odette knocks her unconscious by attacking her head. The next day, Nathan wakes up and goes to Celia and tells her Brian did this to me to steal my powers. Brian orders his team to find a place to set a camp for stay but when Bjorn asks him you got what you need now, why do we have to stay here? I'm on a mission to kill Marcus Edge, Brian tells Bjorn. They move forward and find a place where Bjorn uses his powers to slow the time and Brian orders them to set the camp. Brian makes Jessica their new captain and leaves telling her he will be back in an hour. Brian goes inside the container where he cuts his finger and then mixes it with Nathan's finger to create a powerful magic spell. Bjorn goes to Kieran and asks him to take the old man to his son to drink blood. Kieran takes the old and the boy to drink his blood. After that, the old man asks Kieran to let me stay with my grandson. The boy is a twin brother Odette and she feels a fever after her brother drinks the blood. The boy also feels pain and it turns out that Jessica shifts herself into the old man and drinks her blood to the boy. Bjorn sees the old man's body lying in the bushes and on the other hand both the siblings are writhing in pain. Gabriel applies a magic herb to Odette's eyes to cause a painless death. Nathan becomes enraged to see this and starts fighting Celia. They beat each other and when Nathan is just about to shoot her, Annalise uses her power and destroys the gun. Brian casts the spell, calls Jessica inside, and tells her after drinking this I'll feel a lot of pain so you have to stay with me. After Brian drinks it, Nathan also feels the same pain. Nathan sees how Marcus asks Brian for the truce and killed everybody in the council, and then Brian and his wife killed Nathan's mother. Annalise uses her power and the venom comes out from his nose. Brian now turns into blood, and outside Bjorn and some of the other hunters become rebellious. The boy comes back in bad condition and informs them that the Bloods are coming, and Brian orders Jessica to tie traitors and get ready for the fight. Brian shows Bjorn his new powers and says now they will win this war. He kills Bjorn and then eats his heart. Celia and Annalise leave to find Brian, while Kieran goes to find Annalise and Brian moves toward Wolfhagen. A group of Bloods arrives at the beach and they find dead bodies, but one of them uses her magic to awaken Bjorn's soul. She asks Bjorn where the witches have gone and Bjorn tells her they have left for Wolfhagen. Nathan and Gabriel reach the abandoned house where Gabriel finds the location, Mercury. They hear someone's noise and Nathan goes to find Kieran, who is talking to Gabriel, but Nathan mistakenly hits him on the head. In his last breath, Kieran tells them that Jessica wants to kill Annalise and stops them go Wolfhagen. Annalise calls her father, but Jessica turns into Brian and talks to her. Jessica tells Annalise to come to Wolfhagen. Gabriel reaches the Mercury's house to take blood, but she refuses to give him the blood. Gabriel tells her he has gone toward Wolfhagen and if he doesn't drink the blood he'll die. Nathan reaches the Wolfhagen where blood stops him from going inside, while Annalise also reaches there and Brian asks her, "You shouldn't come here." Annalise tells him, "You told me to come here," and suddenly everybody hears wolves howling. Jessica forces Brian to sacrifice his daughter to become powerful, but Annalise punches her and runs to save her life. Celia goes to Brian and asks him to stop this war, but he becomes insane and only wants revenge. Jessica finds Annalise and tells her, "I will rip your heart," but Annalise asks her to leave because she doesn't want to hurt her. Jessica attempts to attack and Annalise uses her power, but just before her skin is torn apart, Annalise leaves. Gabriel also arrives with Nathan's blood, but as they try to find Annalise, Gabriel gets shot and the blood bottle breaks. Nathan and Gabriel find Annalise, while Brian bites Celia, and when other Bloods come he kills everyone and leaves the mansion. The trio starts to leave and decide to fight against Brian, but as they move forward Nathan sees Gabriel and Annalise freeze. Brian tells Nathan that he will kill him first, then his father, and starts chasing him. Marcus makes fog to distract Brian and finds Nathan. Marcus gives him his blood to complete the ritual and tells him to hunt Brian and kill him. Nathan and Brian start fighting, but Brian is more powerful. Nathan stabs him, but Brian doesn't care. Annalise and Gabriel unfreeze and run to save Nathan. As Brian just about to kill Nathan, Annalise uses her powers and explodes her Brian. Jessica crosses the magical wall and reaches to Mercury. Jessica asks her to fix her powers, but she tells her, "I can't fix your powers, but I'll help you to take revenge." Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.